You think Libra is gentle, so they are easy to hurt. That is wrong. The most dangerous moment is not when they get angry. It is when they go silent. Many people walk into a Libra's life with a false assumption. They mistake kindness for weakness. They confuse patience with unlimited tolerance. Libra smiles, listens, adjusts, and keeps the peace, and people assume nothing is breaking underneath. They test boundaries. They repeat the same behavior. They say things they would never say to someone louder or harsher. And Libra does not explode. They stay calm. They stay polite. They stay quiet. But silence for a Libra is never empty. This video is not about surface-level astrology. It is about what truly happens inside a Libra when they are hurt for real, not mildly disappointed, not briefly annoyed, deeply wounded. You will see the 5 psychological stages that unfold from the moment they stop reacting to the moment they quietly remove themselves from your life. No drama, no revenge, just a sequence that feels almost surgical. And here is what most people never realize until it is too late. By the time you notice the distance, the decision has already been made. Stay until the end, because the final stage is the one you cannot undo, no matter how many apologies you offer. And there is one final balancing moment, what many people call karma, where the scale settles itself without Libra ever lifting a hand. Say nothing yet, just listen. Libra does not avoid conflict because they are afraid of it. They avoid conflict because they understand the cost. They feel how tension changes the air in a room. They notice how one sharp sentence can poison an entire evening. So they choose harmony again and again, even when it costs them something inside. A Libra will soften their words so others feel safe. They will step back so someone else can shine. They will absorb discomfort just to keep things balanced. From the outside, it looks like tolerance. It looks like patience. It looks like someone who will always bend first. But this is where people misunderstand them. Libra is not bending because they have no spine. They are bending because they are constantly measuring. Inside them, there is a scale that never stops moving. Every interaction is placed on it. Every apology, every careless comment, every repeated behavior, nothing disappears. It is all weighed. They often give more chances than they should, not because they do not see the red flags, but because they want to believe in fairness. They want to believe people can correct themselves if given enough grace. So they stay gentle. They stay reasonable. They stay calm long after others would have snapped. This creates a dangerous illusion. People start thinking Libra will always understand, always forgive, always adjust. And so the line gets crossed once, then again, then again. Each time Libra smooths it over, each time the scale shifts a little more. Here is the part most people miss. The kinder Libra is at the beginning, the colder they become at the end. When a Libra finally decides something is over, it is not emotional chaos. It is clarity, clean, precise, final. They do not leave in a storm. They leave after the storm has already passed inside them. And the moment that internal calculation begins, the first visible sign is not anger, it is silence. And that silence is not peace, it is preparation. Next comes the quietest and most dangerous phase of all. When Libra goes quiet, most people relax. They think the moment has passed. They assume the issue was not serious. There is no argument, no raised voice, no emotional reaction. Everything looks normal on the surface. But inside Libra, a courtroom has opened. This silence is not withdrawal. It is evaluation. Libra steps back emotionally and begins to review everything with sharp focus. They replay the moment that caused the hurt. Not just what was said, but how it was said. Not just what happened once, but what has happened before. Patterns matter more than apologies here. They ask themselves questions most people never think to ask. Was this a mistake or a habit? Was there care behind the action or indifference? Does this person add to my peace or slowly drain it? Libra does not rush this process. They are fair, sometimes too fair. They look for reasons to excuse you. They remind themselves of your good sides. They minimize their own pain and ask if they are being unreasonable. This is why many people never realize how close they are to losing a Libra. They think nothing is wrong, while Libra is deciding everything. This stage is the final window for repair. A sincere apology can still shift the scale. Accountability matters more than words. Libra is watching how you respond, not what you say. If you listen, take responsibility, and do not twist the story to protect your ego, the balance can still be restored. But if you deflect, if you justify, if you make them feel dramatic, sensitive, or at fault for being hurt, the scale tips hard. Once Libra reaches a point where they can no longer find a fair reason to keep you close, something changes. The silence becomes heavier, colder, more distant. Not because they are punishing you, but because the verdict is forming. And when Libra stops looking for reasons to forgive, the next stage begins quietly, without warning. Because the moment judgment ends, access is removed. When a Libra truly cares about you, you are given a high level of access. You know their thoughts, their routines, their private worries. You are not just present in their life, you are invited into their inner world. That access is intentional, it is earned. When Libra is deeply hurt, they do not confront you loudly. They simply begin to withdraw that access. At first, it is subtle. They share less about their day. They stop bringing you into small moments. They no longer reach out just to connect. Conversations still happen, but they feel thinner, safer, more distant. You might sense something is off, but you cannot point to a single dramatic change. This is not manipulation. It is self-protection. Libra has already decided that something about you feels unsafe to their peace, so they begin to limit exposure. They keep things polite. They keep things balanced on the surface. But the warmth is gone. The intimacy fades. The emotional priority you once had quietly disappears. Here is the truth many people only understand later. Arguments mean there is still investment. Silence and indifference mean Libra is already stepping away. They are not trying to make you chase them. They are not waiting for you to notice. They are creating distance because closeness no longer feels fair to themselves. You may feel replaced. You may feel confused. You may feel like you are suddenly standing outside a room you used to belong in. That feeling is real. You are being moved out of the inner circle. And this is the moment where people start to panic and push harder. They ask questions. They demand reassurance. They try to pull Libra back emotionally. But that pressure only confirms Libra's internal decision. Because the more you force closeness, the clearer it becomes that peace cannot exist there anymore. And then something even more unsettling happens. Libra stops polishing the mirror, because what comes next is not distance, it is clarity. Libra has a quiet gift that most people never consciously notice. They make spaces softer. They make conversations smoother. They make the people around them look better than they actually are. When you are close to a Libra, they instinctively highlight your best angles. They reframe your words. They protect your image. They help you shine without taking credit. This is why being loved by a Libra often feels effortless. Life feels lighter. Social situations feel easier. You feel more likable, more balanced, more seen. When Libra is hurt, this stops. They do not attack. They do not criticize. They simply remove the filter. They stop smoothing your edges. They stop adjusting the lighting. They stop rescuing awkward moments or defending you when you are careless. They stay calm, neutral, observant. And suddenly you feel exposed. It is not that Libra is being cruel. They are just no longer compensating. They are no longer doing emotional labor on your behalf. You are now reflected exactly as you are without enhancement. This is where discomfort begins to grow. You may notice conversations feel flat. You may notice people respond to you differently when Libra is present but disengaged. You may sense a subtle shift in how you are perceived, even though nothing obvious has changed. That is the mirror effect. Many people slowly realize something unsettling here. Libra was not just in their life. Libra was elevating their life. When that energy is withdrawn, the contrast is impossible to ignore. Not because Libra wants you to feel it, but because truth becomes visible when balance is removed. This stage is deeply unsettling because it offers no drama to react to. There is nothing to argue with, nothing to fight against, just a calm presence that sees everything and chooses not to intervene. And while this is already uncomfortable, it is still not the most final shift, because after the mirror comes something colder. Libra turns off emotion and hands the situation over to logic. And once that happens, nothing is decided by feeling anymore. This is the point where most people lose a Libra for good without realizing it in the moment. There is a common myth that Libra is ruled entirely by emotion, that they feel first and think later. In reality, Libra is one of the most rational signs once a threshold has been crossed. When that internal switch flips, emotion steps aside and logic takes control. At this stage, Libra is no longer trying to understand you. They are no longer asking why. They are no longer hoping for change. They have already gathered enough data. The conclusion forms quietly and efficiently. This person disrupts my peace. Peace is my highest priority. Therefore, this connection cannot continue. There is no anger in this decision, no resentment, no dramatic goodbye speech rehearsed in the mirror. It feels more like closing a file that has been fully reviewed. Every argument, every excuse, every chance given, everything has already been accounted for. This is why Libra can appear strangely calm while the other person is still emotional. The pain has already been processed. The grief has already happened privately. What you are seeing now is not detachment in progress. It is detachment completed. They may still show up. They may still speak kindly. They may still act civil and respectful. But emotionally, they are no longer present. The bond has been severed internally, even if the external structure has not yet changed. This creates a haunting feeling for the other person. You sense that something is gone, but you cannot locate the moment it left. There was no explosion, no final fight, just a sudden absence of depth. This is the phase people describe as chilling, not because Libra becomes cruel, but because they become finished. You do not see them struggle anymore. You do not see them hurt anymore. You only see acceptance. And once Libra reaches this state, the final stage is no longer emotional at all. It is procedural, because the door is already closed inside. Now it simply needs to be sealed. Libra dislikes endings. They dislike being seen as cold. They dislike hurting people, even people who have hurt them. This is why they give more chances than most signs ever would. This is why the door is rarely slammed suddenly. It is approached slowly, carefully, with restraint. But when the decision is final, the ending is clean. There are two ways this usually happens. The first is disappearance. Libra gradually removes themselves from your orbit. Messages stop, access closes, social doors quietly lock. There is no explanation, not because you do not deserve one, but because explaining would reopen an emotional space they have already sealed. The second way is conversation. Calm, polite, almost unsettlingly logical. Libra explains their decision without anger, without accusation, without emotion. They state facts, they state boundaries, they state the end. And once the conversation ends, so does the connection. This is why trying to pull a Libra back rarely works. By the time they leave, they have already mourned the relationship while still inside it. They processed the disappointment in silence. They accepted the loss privately. They released the attachment long before you noticed anything was wrong. So when you finally feel the absence, Libra feels relief. This is the part people misunderstand the most. Libra does not leave impulsively. They leave after staying too long, after hoping too much, after weighing every possible outcome. When they go, it is not escape, it is closure. And once that door is shut, it is not simply locked. It is reinforced, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. What follows is not punishment. It is balance. Here is what remains when everything settles. Libra's silence was never weakness. Their distance was never a game. And their exit was never impulsive. When Libra chooses peace, They do not look back. Many people notice something strange after hurting a Libra. Life feels off balance while they replay conversations and search for ways back. In Libra is already realigning. They invest in themselves. Their energy lifts. Their life upgrades quietly. Not to prove a point, but because the weight has been removed. Libra does not seek revenge. Their peace is the answer. If you are a Libra who has ever closed a door like this, or someone who has experienced it from the other side, share your story in the comments. Do not test the limits of a Libra, because when the scale tips too far, it will correct itself without you.